Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Robbie.
Morning, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Morning, Charlie.
Morning.
Morning, Kev. Nice to see Kev. West Ham Elche fan, so it's always nice to see you on here, my friend. How are you?
Very well, sir. Very well.
Yeah, sorry we're a bit late, boys. I had to do the Damsel in Distress bit and nip down to the airport and pick someone up. It's been a strange week with the goings and what's not been going on. You know, everyone got the ump with Villa because they didn't field a team against Tottenham. And obviously, they basically let Tottenham walk through them. But the funny part is, near the end of the season, you know, when Villa have got that final, I think they've got that final a couple of days before they play Man City. So I think if someone can get some points off Arsenal and City need to win that last game, I think they'll be a bigger hoo-ha if Villa don't play their top team. Guys, I just want to go back to the Champions League. I watched the second leg of the PSG Bayern, hoping for a repeat of the first. Although there was more shots, it ended up just being like Dembele scored early for PSG, and really and truthfully, Kane scored at the end. But PSG, I think, were worthy winners. I didn't see the second semi-final, although Arsenal got through. And of course, congratulations to Arsenal. Congratulations to Crystal Palace, which I think is an absolutely fantastic achievement after selling quite a few players. And of course, who was the other one who made the final? Villa. Yeah, I don't know whether to say. I mean, listen, we all know that foreign managers, they prefer Europe to winning anything in the league. And I think probably they've already qualified for the Champions League, but they did give Forest a bit of a spanking, although Forest did have three players out with the concussion rules, which I think was a bit sad. Did any of you watch any of the Champions League football this week?
I watched the Arsenal game.
What did you think?
They play like that in the final, they'll get in. It wasn't a good game.
I didn't watch that.
It wasn't a good game.
It's quite funny with these Arsenal.
Mate.
Sorry, Kev. It's we're like I've with rivalries. I mean, I always try and think who's West Ham's main rival. Like, and a lot of people say Millwall. I don't think it can be Millwall for me because we don't play them enough. You know what I mean? And as for the rivals, we've got. I wouldn't say we've got any great rivalries. Tottenham seem to think that they're our FA Cup final when we play it. Where they ever got that from is beyond me. I don't know. But when you speak to an Arsenal fan, to a man who I've spoke to, they've said to me they would rather lose the league and let Tottenham go down. And when you speak to Tottenham fans, they say to us they would rather go down than Arsenal win the league. I mean, there really is a proper hatred amongst these North London fans. Charlie, I mean, you got George. Does George really hate Tottenham?
Oh, with an absolute passion. Yeah, he absolutely despises them. Yeah. I think he said if Arsenal win the league and Champions League and Tottenham get relegated, he went that'd be me done with football. He went, that's it. He went, I'll just quit. He went, it won't ever get better. But yeah, rivalries are a funny old thing.
I mean, you sort of got this thing against Tottenham, Robbie. I know they sent you down in the 70s, didn't they? Do you class really? I mean, you West London, is it Brentford, QPR, or Fulham? But you really sort of got that rivalry with Tottenham more than any other club.
I would say so, yeah. And if I asked, I don't know, 20 mates of mine, they'd probably top the list of the first team that they don't like. Obviously, you have other rivalries, particularly like when Mourinho came with Liverpool and stuff like that, but it's not the same. Tottenham would be at the top of the list. No one likes them. So
no, I've got to be honest. Kevin, who'd you say your rivalry is?
Oh, Tottenham. Can't stand them.
It's weird, isn't it?
Well, it is.
Was that always the case? I mean, I had some friends when I lived in Wapping. Sorry about my picture going, but as long as you can hear me, you know it went mad last week. When I was younger, I had some mates, Johnny Joyce and Patty Joyce. They both was Spurs fans, and we would go over there. And yeah, I know, Robbie, I can see it, but you can hear me anyway. And I'd go over Tottenham as it was at the time, the Park Lane, White Hart Lane, as we used to call it. And I just haven't got that rivalry really with anybody. There was a certain team when we was playing at Wembley in a final, and when the doors opened at Baker Street, we were just about to close, and there was these group of fans come round, and they all threw bottles through the door, which smashed on the train windows and shattered a load of kids who was there. And from that time, really, they were Liverpool fans, you know. So for me, I've always had this. It's not all Liverpool fans, and I could assure you that particular day, I'm quite sure the other 25,000 fans who were there probably wouldn't have. But from that point onwards, I've always had this thing against Liverpool, and it's strange as football fans. I mean, I met a guy, an Aston Villa fan, the other week, and when I was saying about what they did against Tottenham, he went, "Well, that's for what you did in 1980 when you got a penalty and knocked us out the cup." And I went, "Mate, it was 46 years ago. How can football fans hold grudges for 46 years? It's really strange, isn't it?"
That's
Do
a
you know
long
what I mean?
They're there. I mean, I still hold.
I don't get it as football fans. Why on earth we have to sort of hold grudges and why? Yeah, play a game, you know. I mean, Charlie, I suppose yours is Liverpool, isn't it, as a Man United fan?
Yeah. I mean, the City rivalry only really has heated up, got worse ever since really the money's come in for them. But I mean, growing up as a kid, yeah, it was Liverpool, and then, but mainly, I mean, back then it was Arsenal. Like Arsenal, and we absolutely hated each other. And I mean, for me, that rivalry died out quite long ago, and it's quite funny to see Man United and Arsenal fans talk about how much they hate each other when they weren't even alive when that rivalry was going on. I don't quite know where that's come from, but yeah, the Liverpool rivalry will always remain, though.
Yeah, I agree. It's a strange thing, really. But I mean, with Elche, when you go over Elche, Kev, down in Spain, who's the main rivals?
There aren't any. It's not a tribal. Unless you're Madrid, Barcelona. There's no real tribal sort of rivalry.
It's funny, isn't it? Rivalries are a funny thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
the fans mix. When you go to Elche, there's never any trouble.
It's
The fans, we sit together.
What about in Spain? Who was it years ago? One team wanted to lose to get another one relegated. Was it Betis or somebody? It's clannish, isn't it? There, I think it may have been Betis and somebody, or Seville or somebody around there wanted to lose a game, so their rival team got relegated.
We had that in a World Cup once, didn't we? Do you remember where Germany and Austria played out a draw because they both wanted to qualify?
Yeah,
That was shocking. 1982.
yeah.
Well, we get into the playoffs, boys.
didn't they?
Yeah, I watched the playoff games, and Millwall I thought was quite a close game. There weren't much in it, and I watched the Southampton Middlesbrough game yesterday. They come out like they was on fire, Middlesbrough, and how on earth they didn't get at least a couple of goals earlier on, I don't know. But Southampton pulled it round in the second half and hit the bar literally within the last couple of minutes. Probably, I think, overall was both fair results. So going into them games next Monday, Tuesday, I think it's still anyone's calling in the Championship playoffs. Charlie, do you agree?
Yeah. Both games kind of set for 0-0. That's been all the playoff games really, even the lower league ones. They've been really tight affairs. No one's really they've not really been great games even really. They've been quite cagey and stuff. So it's certainly all to play for, I should say.
Yeah, I agree. Did you see what went on in the other games? I missed the Bolton game.
Bolton won 1-0, and I know Stevenage got a real late winner the other day. But yeah, apart from that, it's all it's still quite all to play for.
You can't believe they've dropped down the league, Bolton, can you? Because under Sam Allardyce, they had probably one of the most skillful players I think I've ever seen in the league. In JJ Okocha, he could do anything with a football, wasn't he? And he didn't go on to achieve what he did. But a bit like Leicester, I think. When teams get in trouble financially, they drop through the league, which brings me on to I watched a fascinating podcast yesterday called In the Ballroom with I'm just going to go and kill the dog, guys, and with Henry Winter. And there was this guy who was on the board at Villa. He was also on the board at Arsenal. And they talked about the problems going in with West Ham. Robbie, just carry on a minute while I kill the dog.
Yeah, he's not really going to, for anyone listening. He loves them. Well, West Ham, I think he was saying, the guy, that they've got a massive debt, and that even if they stay up, they're probably going to have to sell players. Now, we touched on this before because I know most clubs, I think, now have a massive debt. And I can't see, I'd like to know, how does that work in 10 years' time? Even clubs like Chelsea.
Can you hear me now, Robbie? Can you hear me?
Got you back, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I was
sorry,
just asking how that works in 10 years' time. Even clubs like Chelsea, with this debt around them, is money just, it controls football and the fact with people who they buy. But if it's going to come down to money management, I can see a lot of clubs just either going to the wall or they create some stupid European league to cover the money.
The problem you've got, Robbie, with what I didn't realise was now the Premier League have made everyone open their books to independent auditors, right? Which they didn't do before. Right. If you go back a few years, there was a guy called Peter Ridsdale, and he was running Leeds. And basically, he brought David O'Leary in. They got to the semi-final of the Champions League, and he literally went all in, and he was making the big signings. He bought Ferdinand, he bought others in. And literally, he took Leeds to the brink of extinction. When they finally went in, he was playing like 10 grand for some koi carp in his fish tank in his room. He literally nearly took Leeds out of business. It was that bad. So I think when that happened, the government stepped in and says, we can't have these things happening. You've got to have auditors. And the Premier League have brought it on themselves. But they brought, at the end of that last season, by the way, West Ham, the end of this season, they've worked out there'll be 105 million in debt. Yeah. Now, the two owners they've got, I don't know if no one knows, it was Sullivan and Gold. Gold died. They was majority shareholders. Gold shares went into a trust fund for his family. And Kretinsky, who bought the Royal Mail recently, he took in a 27% stake, which at the time valued West Ham at 650 million. In that deal, he also had it down in writing that should he want to take full control, he would like to buy the shares at the price that he's purchased his 27%. He's just upped his holdings to 40%. And as we know, we've had 4 people leave West Ham all around the financial side just recently, which certainly beggars belief. Why on earth these people are leaving with literally 5 games to go, as it was then before the end of the season? What we didn't realise was that when you buy players, you buy it on a scheme called amortization, which is a bit like HP, basically. You hypothetically, you buy someone for 60, you spend 20, and then you come up with a deal of over the next amount of years how you're going to pay that off. Well, West Ham have got anything between 50 and 70 million at the end of this season that needs to be amortized. So West Ham's is going to go up to around about, the debt will be between 150 and 170, which they have to clear. Now, there's 2 ways they can do it. One is they can get Kretinsky and Sullivan to dig deep in their pockets and give the club a loan. Now, Gold and Sullivan did that a few years back during COVID. They put 50 million in between them. But when they sold their share to Kretinsky, they took their lump out plus the interest. Now, I can't see one way that Sullivan or Kretinsky are going to put this money in, which leads you to really there's only one other option, which whether West Ham stay up or West Ham go down, they've got to fine 150 million. And there's only one way that's going to happen. And that is to sell players. And if you look at West Ham's squad, which you won't believe the squad at the moment they've got, cost over 300 million. Don't ask me how it's worth that much. But they've got to get rid of between 5 to 8 players to make this money up, which has to be cleared at the end of the season. So what I'm asking you boys is, who do we think West Ham are going to have to get rid of to try and let's make it a round figure of 160 million, Robbie?
That's a difficult one, isn't it? Who's the young kid? Somerville?
Somerville.
Yeah, well, he's homegrown, so it's pure profit as well.
No, Somerville come out of Leeds.
Oh, did he?
Okay. We got him from Leeds, 2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
what do you reckon? 30, 40 million? 30, 40?
Maybe, yeah. But it depends on which team wants to take a chance, doesn't it? Maybe Bowen, but, he's going towards the end of his career, I think. I don't think you get a massive fee for him now. I think other clubs, every club knows they're going to vulture around, aren't they? They know, especially if you go down, they're just going to go, you know what, I'm not going to pay you 40. I know you're desperate. I'll offer you 25. And that's how they do it, don't they? I can't see. It's hard to raise that kind of money. And you kind of
No, I agree, Charlie. Who do you see worth any money? I mean,
Bowen, you'd think is the one who's going to be worth the most. I know that Fernandez has kind of come in and done well, so clubs will take a chance. I think the problem with West Ham is that when you sign players, a lot of deals now involve like signing like sell-on clauses and things like that. The way you make the most money these days is by selling your academy players. But the thing is, you look at West Ham because they're classed as pure profit. But you look at West Ham and you go, well, who from their academy or homegrown, as you would say, could they sell for a good amount of money, which would then be classed as pure profit? There's no point selling Somerville because no doubt Leeds have put in some clause where they get like 10% back or something like that. It's kind of more about who is going to make you the most. And sometimes you've got to look at the academy players and try and offload them.
Yeah, I think you are right, Charlie, but there's no way in a million years. I think the likes of Potts, Canty, Earthy, Marshall, there's no way in a million years you're going to raise that sort of money. It's got to come from the first team squad. Kevin?
Did a bit of research on the back of that football boardroom podcast. And our debt equity ratio is 116 billion. So that's what we're in debt. In terms of players, once again, did a bit of research on football sites. You've got Owen estimating a 30 million, with Fernandez and Somerville says 90 million. You're for 25, Danilo 20, Hillman 15, which represents a 25 billion loss. Isaka 20 million. Get rid of them, you wipe your debt. You haven't got a team.
However, my opinion there, if they all go, what happens to the club? Because they're not going to, even if you stay up, they're going to go down. You can't replace them, and they won't have
if you get rid of them, get rid of the debt, you haven't got a squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is, boys, it's not about Robbie. This is not like if we sell them; it's more a matter of when. It's when, But I think what we're not realizing as well is we're not realizing behind the scenes who's going to have to go. West Ham 60,000 seats, 65,000. Their match day revenue basically brings in 40 million, even though they don't own anything. If you look at West Ham if someone said to whoever one of our teams, Man United or your team, Robbie, there's a 65,000 seat stadium, it's yours, right? 4 million, between 3.5, 4 million a year. That's all you got to pay. We'll pay for the upkeep. You think, oh, what a great deal. If it was a football stadium, because that's what goes on around Europe. The problem we've got is what West Ham have done, which what a lot of West Ham fans don't like is they've been very, very good at filling the ground. If you go to any London tourist sites, West Ham will be on there. If you want to have a match day, you want to have a Premier League match, come and see us, have a dinner. On the corporate side, they've been very clever at filling the stadium. So, which is what's happening, because I always say with West Ham fans, I remember being over there on a Tuesday night once, watching them against Lincoln, I think, and it was 9,000 fans. Now, not the last season at the Bowling, but the season before, which West Ham fans seem to forget. You could walk over there and get a ticket and walk in. And that was a 30,000 seat stadium. So whether you like tourists there or not, on a business scale, West Ham have been very sensible in filling it and earning their earnings from that. When they go down, that's another part that we reckon we're going to lose anywhere between 70 to 80 million when they go down. That's even with the parachute payment, Kevin.
Which I think the parachute payment is about 35 million for the 3 seasons. Up to 35 million if you don't come back up.
Yeah,
with the stadium, they're also, I think, the London Docklands Development Corporation.
Your microphone's mucking around. Can you hear Kevin, boys, or is it just me?
Oh, it's cutting in and out.
Yeah, just take your mic off and turn it back on again, Kev. I actually think that if you look how much they're going to lose, the wage bill at the moment is 170 million. That's what the wage bill stands at the moment for the season. Now, that's before they go down, and even if they have got clauses that they 50% cut in their wages, we know they're not going to stay. If that happens at the same time, then and they go down, you are going to lose because they don't want to lose this money. But when you do go down, you've got that loss of revenue, you've got the loss of the people coming in. They reckon the shirt deal is worth between 12 and 15 at the moment with the Betfair on it. I reckon you're lucky to get £1 million a year to have a name on your shirt in the Championship. So I do think if West Ham go down, I think they are serious issues. And the EFL, they don't muck around like the Prem with this fair play rule. We will talk about the changes in the PSR, as we call it, coming up. But I think they are in proper big time. And I think the way the club has been run, there has been a lot of West Ham, really clever people on the West Ham side, a lot of accountants. They had a big meeting with the person who took over, who's took over Brady's job last week. It was some guy called Kareem. And he said, like, he's fed up with the way that there's been no interaction with the fans. They've also said that Sadiq Khan could not stand Karen Brady. She couldn't stand him. So there was never any interaction there when they was talking about what wanted to go on with the ground. The only way I see Daniel Kretinsky, the other 40% shareholder at West Ham, coming in is if they allow him to buy the land. I just can't see any other reason or why anyone would invest in West Ham when the only asset they've got is Premier League money coming in at the moment. Your turn, Kev. Let's hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to the EDC, they are starting talks on West Ham taking over the ground. So it will be our ground, right, on a lease basis. It will be West Ham ground, not the old EDC.
I can't see that happening, Kevin. Look, the London taxpayer is costing them £20 million a year. I cannot believe that the London taxpayers ain't having a run and go, hold on a minute. This ground is used for hypothetically 20 games a year. We're paying for all the upkeep. We're paying for all the stewards. We're paying for all the policing. All the getting there, more trains on, etc., etc. And we're not getting nothing back. We're actually taking a 20 million loss. Why on earth would anyone in London connected with the council suddenly go, there you go, West Ham, buy prime real estate as it is now in Stratford and give you the ground? I just don't see it happening. I think the only other option they would have is if they built another ground for West Ham somewhere else.
I think we all want that. We want our own ground.
No, because it's not a football stadium, Kev. That's what went wrong. It's a great, on a financial deal, it's probably one of the greatest financial deals that I think anyone ever did, getting that on a 99-year lease for £3 million a year. The unfortunate part is you need an Uber to go to the toilet. The players come out and they bring them out in golf carts. It's so far away from the pitch. It's the first time I went there. I come up the steps. I was right opposite the tunnel. And as I come up the step, I could not believe how far away it was. I couldn't believe it. Was there a decent atmosphere? Not really. It was a midweek game. We played Shrewsbury. We scored late on. And from what you had at the Boleyn, it's just, and I think that is what a lot of the old, what I call the old legacy West Ham fans have walked away from. They split everybody up when they got the ground. Instead of saying, right, where do you want to sit when everyone was going over Stratford and you could go in a West Ham shop and pick your season ticket. They split people up. There was punch up after punch up between the locals when it first opened because people weren't sitting with each other anymore. And they've just gone about it all wrong. And I think the love affair with David Sullivan, with West Ham and the fans, is finished. And I don't think West Ham fans will be happy until Sullivan is gone.
I'll agree with that. But going back to if it favours West Ham, we can redevelop.
I think
if we lease the ground, it then becomes our ground. Their land for our ground, and we can redevelop. We're going to get the people to know.
You're still in and out, Kev. I can hardly pick up what you're saying there, mate. Robbie, do you? We've spoke about Chelsea, and we know now there's problems between between Bowley and Bluecoat, isn't it? You've got two different people involved in Chelsea.
I think
we know this
for a while. I think that's been going on for a while. probably or partly because it hasn't worked out. They've all gone in there with their, we know everything plan, and it hasn't worked. They all look good in the summer, winning that trophy and getting the money for it, but the players are suffering for it, and the fans definitely are this season. And then they've made mistakes with the managerial things, which we've spoken about before. They need to get someone in there with Premier League experience, but the two guys with the money, they're arguing, aren't they? I think one wants to buy the other one out, and that affects the whole club. Where years ago you didn't know much about the owners of any club, now everyone knows their first name, surname, where they live. It's become a big thing. So that must filter down. There's about 5 sporting directors at Chelsea, which I can't get my head around. And they're getting managers with no experience or no Premier League experience, let's say, which is the first thing they need to do. And they need to build a squad. But they've bought so many players, I think they're stuck. You've got people like Garnacho on a bleeding 28-year contract or whatever, and he's never, ever going to be a top player.
Mm-hmm. No, we had this chat with you, Robbie, didn't we? Because they have stopped these 5 to 8 year contract. That's what happened with the amortization, wasn't it? I mean, I mentioned it last week. You've got a 500 million debt between 2 banks that has to be paid back by 2033. And at the moment, it's on a 10% a year interest. So it goes up 50 million every year, and none of that's being paid off. So by 2033, if none of that is paid off, you've got a debt of nearly £1 billion. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm absolutely adamant that I think Roman Abramovich at some point gets himself back involved with Chelsea. Charlie, what's happening with the Glazers? Like with West Ham, they've been a bit like Man United fans with the Glazers. The Man United fans want the Glazers out. West Ham wanted Sullivan and Brady out for a long time. Half of it's gone. We had Newcastle with Ashley. You don't ever hear of any fans being successful of pushing owners out of grounds, do we?
No, we don't. It's very rare. I mean, the Glazers, in a way, have kind of managed to get themselves out of it, because since this whole Jim Ratcliffe thing, no one talks about him anymore. And anything that goes wrong about Man United is now Jim Ratcliffe's fault. So they've kind of pulled a bit of a smart move there, because now he's in charge of the football side of thing, and he makes more of the decisions. He brought in Brailsford and Wilcox and all them, and can't remember the guy from Newcastle who only lasted about 6 months. So yeah, and this is the problem. They're now in the background, so it's Jim Ratcliffe who's the one who's kind of getting all the stick for it. But yeah, very rarely do you push someone out, push an owner out.
Well, there's 1.25 billion reasons, Charlie, that the Glazers were happy that Ratcliffe.
That's what I mean.
Pocket. That's why
it weren't just the money; it was the fact that they don't get criticised anymore, because they don't. For some, everyone now focuses on it's Ratcliffe's fault.
I also think
Kevin, do you see a time? Sorry, Robbie. Kevin, do you see a time where, Brady, Sullivan now is 77. We all know Harry made his money. We all know that there's a Panorama program coming out about historical offence. The anonymity's been lifted on, he's been accused of rape, allegedly been accused of rape. He's allegedly been accused of child abuse. We don't know. There's just the rumours are flying around. And obviously, if he wanted anonymity, there must have been a reason he wanted to stop it. Now, I think if these rumours are proven to be true, I don't see him getting 1 ounce of ever trying to stay in a football club again. And I think he has to come out. I do think there's something going on behind the scenes at West Ham that'll probably come out the end of the season. But he's 77. Why do you want all this hassle? And he's rumoured to be worth around about £1 billion, around about $2 billion. Kretinsky's rumoured to be worth about $10 billion. What on earth do they want all the day-to-day stress of all the crap that goes on with football, Kev?
He does. He'll go. I think he'll go. Like you said, he's 77. He's got that hanging over him. Kretinsky's in it for the long haul. And he buys businesses that no one else wants. And he turns it down. And that's how he's made his money. He'll take over at some point.
I don't know. I just can't see the reason.
He's not. He'll have
Well, I hope we don't get left with his bloody son. Your mic is still playing up a bit. Guys, Charlie wanted me to save this, right, for the end of the season, but I've got to tell you, this has been boiling my pee-pee for about the last 3 or 4 weeks now. And, I mean, I've said to you, ever since this trouble started with Iran and Trump and his ICE agents, all ex-cons that he gave pardons to that come out of prison, half of them were... And he's made these so-called immigration agents can go where they like, pick up people what they want, lock them up for a year with no trial or nothing. Now, Amnesty International have now made a list of places where they think it's not safe for certain people. They've now put America on there because they're saying that people going to the World Cup of maybe colour, of maybe different origins or from different countries, they're not basically saying they're not safe. Now, which is one thing, but if you look on the FIFA resale of tickets, right, there was a ticket on there this week for the final, right, of $11 million. Now, listen, I know someone stuck it on there with a silly figure, but I looked at New England, where some of the games are going to go. A $13 bus journey now is going to cost $200. A car park, which they had parked outside all these grounds, was $10, and they're going to be $250 for a car. They're going to be $1,000 for an RV. A lot of people use these. We call them motorhomes, don't we? They call them RVs over there. The average price now for a Joe Blogg ticket, don't forget, a lot of these people had to start off to go into a lottery, is $3,000. So to go and see America's first game now, you're looking at $3,000. FIFA take away 32% of the ticket value, plus all the car parking and everything else. Now, Trump has come out and said that all the hotels would be 5 to 6 times more full than they normally are for this time of year. And lo and behold, people are now voting with their feet. And the hotels are saying they're not even as busy as they would have been this sort of time of year, where people were going back. Not going to America. Do you think now we've known for years that FIFA's corrupt? I always remember when Michel Platini went in there, I thought things would change, and he was a footballer, but then he got accused of corruption. Do you think FIFA now has just become a money grabbing machine? And we've said about football, it was always said it was the working man's game. If you're being asked to pay $3,000 to go and watch America play, I think it's another South American team. It's just becoming pathetic. And I told you I thought we should boycott going to America ages ago. And do you think it's just becoming a joke, Charlie?
It is becoming a joke. I mean, the ticket prices thing is just getting real out of hand. I mean, look, I know the Super Bowl in America, I think those tickets go for about 30, 40 grand, some of them. And I don't know if FIFA's just looking at that, but it's just the whole, it's everything. It's where the stadiums are. Like, there's a stadium which is kind of basically out in the middle of nowhere, and European fans are like, well, we'll just walk across the motorway, and Americans are like, not if you want to get run over. And then you've got to walk a 3-mile walk just to get to a stadium. The up prices in transport, which ain't good. I think it's everything's bad about it. Everything's negative. No one's really looking forward to it. FIFA have been corrupt for a while. They're meant to be classed as a non-profit organisation. I think everyone knows that's a load of crap. We should be talking about gearing up for the World Cup here and teams that are in it and stuff. And instead, again, we're talking about corruption and ticket prices and everything else.
Well, I just got to tell you guys, there are 6 countries on there that, should they wish to go, each adult, when you get to America, you've got to leave a $15,000 bond. If you've got a child with you, for every child, it's $5,000. So hypothetically, Charlie, you go with Tate, you're on this list. When you arrive there, you've got to leave a $20,000 bond. And when you leave, if you leave the country, you'll get the $20,000 bond back. How many day to day, as we say, working man's people can actually afford to leave $20,000 with a corrupt government like the States? Robbie?
If you win the lottery, we'll go. But if not, we're not. Because that's impossible. How does a fan do that? a normal fan, you can't. We're talking about owners of clubs; they might be able to afford it, but no fans will. I also think, no disrespect, I've got some good friends in America, but you're not going to have good atmospheres. There's no real culture. The stadiums aren't built for it. Whereas the games in Mexico, for example, I think would be brilliant. You know, I've got a friend in Mexico City, though. He said they're installing extra bus stops. They've got the public transport going for everyone. They're going to make sure, and security as well, and they're going to make sure that it goes well. You know, the other thing that would worry me in America, with I'm 3 miles from anywhere, is you might have some lunatic sitting there with a sniper rifle. Would you go to that? Would you take that chance?
Well, Robbie, as long as it's the one who's tried to shoot Trump twice, I think we'll be all right, because twice they've missed and twice he's stood up.
You know, it's a bit farcical. And the other thing, I think FIFA jumped on the get the money part. However, they're going to lose. They must lose some sponsorship for TV adverts and stuff, because a lot of people, you know, no disrespect to anyone, but Europe is the biggest market, and a lot of people won't be watching. I'm not watching a game at 2:00 in the morning. So the viewing figures have to be down. It'll only be the final and the opening games because they're at 9:00 European time.
Yeah, I agree. Kev, have you read anything about all this ticket pricing? It's dynamic pricing, by the way. That's what they're doing. They're basically saying they sold X amount of tickets, and rather than they said, like, you know, let's say behind the goal was $150 and at the side. By the way, these people that paid money to get in the lottery never got a chance to get the prime, what we would call the prime tickets, somewhere in the middle, down the top up. You know, they didn't get a chance. It was all the rubbish seats in the corners behind the goals. Go on, Kev.
To be honest, I'm not interested in international football. I don't know anyone that's back to the World Cup at the moment. With the corruption, with America, with the signings, I don't think anyone's interested. Or very few people are interested, to be honest.
No, I don't. Kev, I don't know what's the matter with your mic, mate, but we are not picking you up, mate. Not picking me up. You're just in and out. I honestly believe it's a bit like Charlie said, that try taking yourself out, Kev, and come back in again on the link I sent you. I honestly think, like Charlie said, when it comes round the World Cup, it's almost like a family event, isn't it? You know, you'd sit in there and you'd watch different teams, and you do watch different games you'd normally look if they were friendlies. And the Brazilian fans, you know, bringing all the colour, and the Spanish guy, that Manolo with the drums, you know, and with the Icelandic fans before, when they did that thunderclap. You love to see what different fans doing. I can actually see this, where they're not sold out, especially in America, that they're going to fill it up with kids and give a load of kids tickets out, a bit like you do for some of the friendlies at Wembley, where they don't get rid of the tickets and they start just sending them out to a load of kids.
I don't get it. The thing is, but the problem for me now, and again, this is FIFA's problem, that every World Cup now, there does seem to be some kind of issue. You know, Qatar, did they have it? I mean, apparently behind the scenes, it wasn't as great as what everyone said. Even Brazil, you know, they built a stadium in the Amazon rainforest, didn't they? I think England played there. Wayne Rooney has even said about the South Africa in 2010 when it did not feel like a World Cup at all. You've got the one in 4 years' time that's going to be held in Morocco, Portugal, and Spain, but they're holding 3 games in Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. Well, what's the point? Like, they're just thinking of more and more ideas of making money, rather than it being just about football and going to one country and, you know, or maybe 2, and just, you know, that country experiencing a World Cup and fans going over there and everything like that. It's just not. They're just making these crazy ideas. This didn't need to be held in Canada, USA, and Mexico, 4 different time zones and whatever else. It didn't. America could have done it on their own.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, look at the Scottish, you know. I mean, the Scottish are going out there. We know they're going to take thousands with them. We know they're going to fill up squares and they're all going to be singing. You know, they're very passionate, the Scottish fans. I just think everything what's gone on with the World Cup, we've had all this crap, you know, with the Epstein files, where there ain't one American at the moment who's been outed, is it? All they've outed is 2 people from Britain. I just think it just stinks of corruption from top to bottom at the moment. And I think FIFA put themselves into bed with Trump, giving him a peace prize for whatever reason, when since he's been in power, he's bombed 7 different countries, the man that was going to stop wars. And I've told you all along, boys, we shouldn't be going. FIFA should change it and not have it in America. It's too late. It's going to go. But personally, I won't be watching hardly any of it. Are you back, Kev?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I've changed laptops.
Well, this one's working. So
I'll tell you what, Rob, this laptop I'm on, I bought it a couple of years ago just to try out Linux, or Linux as they call it. That's what I'm on.
Linux. No, good system. It's different. Yeah, I don't know. World Cup, guys, I think will be a bit faster. We'll still try and watch some of it, won't we? And I'm hoping that football actually, we see some good football, and it's not all about politicians and corruption and stuff. Because at the end of the day, we want to watch the games. But 2 o'clock in the morning, not watching it. So that's how it goes, isn't it? With that.
The point I was making before I changed laptop, Rob, was how many people do you know that are talking about it? I don't know anyone that's talking about it. No one mentions it.
Like the minute.
Whereas World Cup's past, there was an excitement.
Yeah, that's true.
Even in the press, there's very little about it.
I don't read the UK press anymore, but maybe because you've got a bit of drama in the Premier League this year and with the relegation thing, the Champions League, after that, I'd imagine that they just go all in and talk about the World Cup. Because there's the story after that, is it? And until the transfer window opens as well, then the journalists have a great day. Because all the rumours fly out. They need to think of something with that. So, I don't know. We will see. I'll give it a few.
I agree, Robbie. Look, I think like when it comes around, there's always a couple of players that come out of that World Cup, don't they? That like you think, wow, like didn't know about him. When Tottenham that year signed Ardiles and Ricky Villa, didn't they? After the World Cup, which leads me on to which we will be doing at the start of the World Cup is I'd like anyone out there, and obviously us four to do it. We've got a couple of weeks for the Prem finishes. To try and write your best World 11 ever. You can have any team, any player from any era, from any team, and do an 11. Someone sent me one the other day, and Lee, the Chelsea fan, sent me his, and he said it drove him mad. Like, he was putting in this one, he was putting out that one, and it's really hard to do. Guys, I do want to mention the Scottish Premier League before we go on. Obviously, they drew yesterday, Hearts, with Motherwell 1-1. But, yeah, they're still 4 points clear. So now, I think they beat Rangers, didn't they? We've gone through the ins and outs of the Argentinian League and the Scottish League last year. We do want to finish off with the Championship. Kevin and I have found out next year that the first... go on, Kev. You explain what's going to happen.
So it's extended next year. The top 2 go up. And then instead of the 2 to 6, it's now 2 to 8. So 3rd and 4th will go through to the semi-finals. 5th to 5, 6, 7, 8 will then play off in a quarter-final, which I think is going to be over one leg. Then they'll go to the semi-finals and then the final. So you've got the top 8 now, top 8 places. I guarantee that, a shot at the Premiership as opposed to the top 6.
But do you not? I had this last week. Like, there was one particular fan, Stuart, friend of mine. He wrote on our page art was when I said about Millwall should have gone up. They finished third, they should have gone up, and he'd put Millwall can go and do one. Like, I don't care what they do. He did. But I honestly believe if you're going to have a league, it come out in rugby, didn't it? The top 2 finish in rugby in England in their league, and you don't win it. You don't win the league. You have to go into a playoff, which I just find it absurd. I think if you're going to play 46 games, whatever it is, then at the end of it, it shows a true league, a bit like what we've got going on about, with Arsenal and Man City at the moment. Last week, City blew it. They was 1-0 up. They seem to be passing the ball around like they do, wanting to walk it into the net. And lo and behold, like Everton come back and really 3-1 up. They should have won it, Everton. Did anyone watch the game? I think you did, Charlie, didn't you?
The Everton City game, sorry, was that?
Yeah, Everton City, yeah.
Yeah. It was. It was a great game. Fair play to Everton. it's kind of left the league open for Arsenal. But yeah, I mean, this playoff thing, I don't know. I mean, the National League do 2 to 7, didn't they, in terms of the playoff? And it's crazy to think that you can finish 7th and still get promoted. I don't really get it, but I mean, I think it's kind of a bit of a money-making thing as well. You know, more games and a bit more excitement and things. But yeah, I don't know. I guess if that's what they're going to do, then West Ham or Tottenham shouldn't have a problem finishing in the first 8 next year, should they?
Well, it depends on how many players.
He says that with a smile because he's third in the league.
Right, boys, listen, we're only going to touch on this because it's. I haven't got my head around it properly yesterday. Kevin brought to my attention next year that we're getting rid of the financial fair play, PSR, as you'd like to call it, and we're bringing something in called squad cost ratio, right? So bear with me, right? So what is it? It says clubs can spend 85% of their revenue of on-pitch cost. So number one, players' wages, transfer fees, amortised agent fees. Then you've got your net loss from players' sales counts as revenue. Hypothetically, so if a club makes 400 million in football revenue and the players sell profits, they can spend 340 million on squad cost. Honestly, UEFA have only got it as 70% and it's already active. And you're going to get, for whatever reason, an extra 30% allowance over, I think it's 3 to 5 years. You can, the levy, if you use the 30% allowance and it exceeds after 5%, you'll get sporting sanctions. The 30% allowance can go over 85%, up to 30% over multiple years. Using it triggers a fine. Once that allowance is used up, they must stay under 85%. Why are they doing it? Because at the moment it's capped at losses of 105 million over 3 years, which is 35 million per year if you work it out like that. Clubs like City, Newcastle said it limits their spending, surprise, surprise. Although I've heard that PIF, the Saudi investment fund, wants out of Newcastle. So it's going to go in line with Europe and it's coming in next year. What got rejected, I'm not bothered about what rejected. It's still going to be the top clubs can still outspend others. Chelsea's 168 million wage bill versus Sunderland's 205 million total squash. So Chelsea's wage bill is 168 million, where Sunderland's entire cost for the season is 205 million. So I still think there's going to be a lot of discrepancies, and I think it's going to take 1 or 2 years to get it in. Do you agree with financial fair play, Robbie?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I do think there should be something. Otherwise, every Premier League team would just be owned by billionaires, and just it's whoever's got the most cash. So there should be something that organises it. But I always feel a lot of these, they protect the clubs that are already there. You know, you were talking about West Ham, and say them or Bournemouth or someone, and someone says, you know what, I fancy a go at that, like Abramovich did at Chelsea. No one could ever do that again. So you're kind of keeping them, you know, the elite ones will stay elite in that sense. They'll never be, maybe football-wise not, but money-wise, they'll always have more. So I think it's a difficult one. I also think it's difficult how to manage. You know, the filmmakers, they invest in a film before they release it. Some you win, some you lose. You know, some of them investments are massive.
But Robbie, it's going to mean, like, if I'm reading this, and like it was only brought to my attention yesterday, so like I've only looked into it briefly, but it means the only way you can bring it down is to cut players' wages. So will this mean the end, really, of the high wage bills? Charlie. Sorry, Robbie. Go on. No, carry on, Robbie. Sorry.
I know that's one thing that these Americans try to do at Chelsea when they were signing players on these, you know, long contracts, is to start with a lower wage and pay more in bonuses, which makes a lot of sense from a fan's point of view. You want them to play, you want them to win. So I know they've tried to cut some, and it's a reason why they haven't signed some players. However, if you want an elite player, you're going to have to pay for him, and they're going to cost a lot of money every week. So
I brought this in very quickly into the equation to work it out, and I added that work out for West Ham. You know, considering they are going to be in trouble. And basically, it's put West Ham spent £77 on wages for every pound earned. Yeah. So basically, like West Ham spent 76 quid more per 100 than than they earned. So that's why, they will come in just in. I've just looked at their bottom line, and West Ham will just scrape in just. But the only way they're going to do it is, like I've said to you, is reducing player costs, because that's where the big wages are paid out, Kevin.
But going back to Robbie's point, the top players are always commanding the best salaries. If you go back to the 70s and the 80s, the Italian league paid the best wages. It was only the inception of the Premier League, when Sky came in, that it really changed. Players wanted to come here. It's all about money.
Yeah, but should it be capped, Kevin?
No. It's a free market.
Think it should be capped.
No. Well, it's at the moment, like I say, I'm a West Ham fan. I also follow Elche. I'm a season ticket holder down there. We can't invest. Elche can't invest. They can't get a billionaire in and start challenging for the title because the rules are against them. They can't do it.
No, I've got to agree with you. I mean, I do think there's got to be, personally, I think there's got to be a lot of changes, which brings me to my last point, which I think is really, I found this very sad when I looked into Cesc Fabregas, who's flying high at Como, two promotions in 2 years. Now it looks like they're going to get, so they did an interview with him. And what I didn't realise was one Italian player, right, one has played 1 minute all year. They said, why are you not playing Italian players? He said, because they're too defensive. Now, we did a show a couple of weeks ago on why the demise of Italian football. This surely can't be right. We've got to go back somehow or other to get back into the system where you've got to get local lads, especially homegrown players coming through, which will bring down the money. Do you think that's a disgrace, Charlie?
Kind of, but then, what was it? Chelsea all them years ago when they fielded the first foreign team, and then I remember the media kicking up such a fuss about it. But that's football, and the problem is, whether he says they're too defensive or not, maybe they're just not good enough. But it's like the Premier League, isn't it? Like, if you want to buy a young English player, you're paying treble what they're actually worth. So then you're going abroad and you're finding someone cheaper. And this is the problem. It's not, and also it's a results business, and managers don't have time to almost invest in the academy anymore. They don't. So they've got to buy players right away rather than giving a youth player a chance and developing that player. They just don't have the time now. So they've just got to go and buy these foreign players anyway.
Yeah, but Charlie, it can't be right. I'm sure we had a system a while back where you had to have 5 players. And I know the Bosman rule changed a lot of things with freedom of movement. But since we've come out of Europe, I don't know whether that law still stands. Robbie, you're a Chelsea fan. Do you actually couldn't care less that there was no British-based players in the team? Or would you rather, Chelsea lads coming through the academies?
No, you want to have some, and we've got a few now. But some come through and they get too big for their boots straight away. Some don't. Some genuinely care. Some of them, but it's business as well. When you think, I want the team to win. If you look, I always have a little question. You ask people, name the last English manager to win the top flight in the UK, in England. So you've got to go back to, I think it was Howard Wilkinson with Leeds. So the game's changed, hasn't it? Techniques, players. It doesn't bother me where someone's from. What bothers me is if they care and if they try. And if they do well, because you want to win.
Yeah. You look at Arsenal, right? They're in the Champions League final. It's what? Saka and Rice are really their only 2 English players who start, right? Now, let's say, for argument's sake, Saka and Rice got injured and they couldn't play. And then they brought in Marino and maybe Trossard or Martinelli on the other side. And Arsenal won the Champions League with no English players in their starting lineup. Do you think Arsenal fans would care?
Not one jot.
Exactly.
If when West Ham go down, and I think we are going down, if we win the championship next year and don't play one English player, couldn't give a toss. Couldn't care. We're up.
So you want to win, don't you? I hope you stay up.
I understand where you're coming from, Mark, and homegrown talent, but they're just pricing themselves out of the market, as Rob said.
Then why do we have academy teams? Why do we have youth teams and reserve teams? What's the point of them?
Well,
if you're a big club, it's profit now, isn't it?
It's
Well,
money.
name some of the last players that's been sold through the academies. West Ham's, a lot of it, he come from Chelsea.
Yeah, but if you look at Liverpool sell youngsters for about 20 million who's barely played.
Yeah.
This is my thing. United do it, Chelsea do it. They all sell players that you don't even realise for 15, 20 million. And then you look like a few years ago, Mount went to United 55 million. That's 55 million profit because he's homegrown and he's from the academy. So they're still... It does bug me a bit. They're the first players to go. Like when the Americans, they sold Gallagher to Atletico Madrid purely because it was a 40 million profit. You know,
in an ideal world, we would want a team full of academy players, but it's just nowadays you've got zero hope of that happening.
It's not an ideal world, though, Charlie, is it now?
No, that's the problem.
And the amount of money that's in there.
Also,
so what happens when eventually the should we say the bottom falls out of it with Sky, or whether it does or not, there seems to be people queuing up to want to do Premier League highlights and Premier League games at the moment. There's rumours of Netflix getting involved now, aren't they? And you could buy.
Yeah, but teams will always find a way. This homegrown rule that they brought in years ago, right? But if you bought a player from Barcelona at 16 and played him in your youth squad for about 2 years, they're classed as a homegrown player, but they're Spanish.
To add that, when we signed Fabregas, he counted as a homegrown player because he was at Arsenal when he was younger.
Yeah. So teams will find a way to get around it anyway. Just like they find a way to get around of all these financial problems. I remember years ago, Real Madrid had a debt of 320 million, and then shockingly, they sold their training ground for 320 million. What an absolute coincidence that was, wasn't it? What perfect time.
Well, Chelsea sold the hotel back to themselves, didn't they?
We sold the women's team to themselves.
That's what I mean. Like, they do. Man United have partners for mattresses, noodles, and they, 18 million to put like a sponsor on the front of their training top, But some of them give them 18 million to do it. They'll find a way. But it helps. It's beneficial to, like you say, the top six and Real Madrid and Barca and all them. It's change, and this is why Newcastle fans get the arm, because they've got all this money behind them. They can't spend it. They're not allowed, because then they'll get hammered. But yet Man United, because of what they are, they can go and get all these sponsors for all these different things, and they'll find the money where it doesn't matter to them.
Well, Barcelona are 1.2 billion in debt, by the way, along with other people. There's not many teams that are only in debt. As I said, Leicester have gone down, their training facilities, state-of-the-art, 100 million, cost 20 million a year to run. Unfortunately, they're going to be getting in 12 million in League One next year, so God knows what sort of state they're going to be in. Gentlemen, I do apologise for being late this morning. We've absolutely prattled on a little bit about everything. Kevin, it was nice having Norman Collier on the show this morning. You went in and out every 5 minutes. God knows. A lot of people say I look a lot better with my TV off. Robbie, Charlie, have a great day. West Ham Arsenal today, boys. What are we going for? And Tottenham Leeds. I think Leeds beat Tottenham tomorrow 3-0.
That would be great. And I'd love you all lot to get at least a point today, but it's going to be tough.
Did you see Pep Guardiola yesterday stand up and do the iron sign? And he went, "Come on, you Irons."
I think that's great, though, because it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of banter, isn't it? It's football.
Passion. It's passion.
Yeah, I like that. And I want it to be really exciting, and I'd prefer it to keep going. Maybe City will put out a weaker team in the cup final next week. I might have half a chance.
Guys, someone said something to me very quickly. Sorry, me. And I think what they said is right. With Man City blowing it last week, which I do think they're blowing it, and Arsenal win the league. If City would have won the league and then win the FA Cup, do you think it would have been they would have been good enough for a team that's won the treble? I don't think they've been that good that in years to come we could have go they won the treble. They were the best, the 2 cups and the thing. So I think it's right that they're not going to win the league. So I don't think they're a good enough team to have. In years to come to have been said that they've won the treble. Charlie, do you agree or not?
Yeah, I don't think people would have been talking about them in years to come. So, do you remember that City side that done that? I think goes to show it's been a poor season. With today's game, both of them need to win. The draw's no good really to either of them, but I don't know. I can see it being a 2-2.
I'll take that, Charlie.
Yeah.
I'll take that and a 3-0 Leeds win.
Well, the Leeds one.
We need them. But don't, we're minus 19 goal difference. Tottenham minus 9, so that's worth a point to them.
I think West Ham lose by 3 or more goals. Robbie?
I mean, Hart says I love West Ham and get something, but I don't think there'd be a lot of goals in it. I think that'd be tight. I'd probably go just one by a goal to Arsenal. They'll grind it out and put the pressure back on.
You'll
City.
come back on next week, Rob, and Martin will say, "Well, they ground out a 5-0 win, mate."
Yeah, when it's the other way round, and he goes, "You got it wrong, West Ham won." I know.
Guys, listen, thank you very much. I'm sorry I've took too much of your day. Kevin, thank you for coming on. Take care, boys.
Pleasure.